This is the emotional roller coaster of leaving a narcissist who betrays you. Breaking up with a narcissist can be a challenging and painful experience. While it may seem like the best decision for your well-being, it's important to understand that the healing process is not always quick or easy. In fact, believing that you can quickly recover and move on can actually set you up for a lot of pain and disappointment. Leaving a narcissist often stirs up a range of intense emotions, such as anger, sadness, and hurt. It's important to allow yourself to process and express these feelings rather than trying to suppress or ignore them. Narcissistic abuse can be traumatic, and it can take time for the brain and body to heal from the effects of trauma. This can include symptoms such as anxiety, depression, and difficulty sleeping. The thought of starting over and rebuilding your life can be scary and overwhelming. It's important to be patient with yourself and understand that the process of healing and moving on takes time. Therefore, it's important to note that recovery is a process and it's not always linear. You may experience setbacks, but that doesn't mean you're not making progress. It's important to permit yourself to feel your emotions and to be kind and compassionate towards yourself. If you are intrigued by this video, consider clicking the subscribe and the bell icon to follow this channel and never miss a new upload. Let's begin. This is the emotional roller coaster of leaving a narcissist who betrays you. First, your mind has suffered a terrible injury. Abuse from a narcissist can change the way your brain works, so what sounds like an exaggeration might be true. This could be one possible reading of the phrase. Constant vigilance is required when interacting with a narcissist. 24/7 you have avoided death thus far. You are always coming up with fresh plans to ensure your survival. You were at one point plotting a military operation. You'd be getting away from what you're currently experiencing. You would normally be frozen in place by the overwhelming terror of the situation. Protecting one's survival should always come first. Abuse by a narcissist can occur at any time. To put it simply, you have no idea where you stand with this individual. You don't know where your relationship stands. There's no telling how close they are or how close you are to them, because they could flip from being a lovely man to a bad guy at any time. One partner rarely gets a complete picture of the other before committing to a love relationship. Let's assume you're facing exactly that kind of challenge. You'll have to cope with it for a very long period, potentially months, years, or even every hour. Of course, it will have an effect on you if that is how you live your life. Your brain and the nervous system cannot take any more of this. Do you really want to think about what it would be like to get your work done without this? And yet, how could you ever think that? Become healthier and back to normal. The narcissistic abuse you endured will immediately and drastically alter your brain, nervous system, and biochemistry. You, being human, modify your strategy accordingly, leading to internal changes in thought and feeling. True, you're everyone else in this gathering. You've adjusted, and now all you've got are a bunch of coping strategies that will need time to recover. Depending on the load imposed on the brain, the amygdala shrank or grew. The size of the hippocampus had to change. Therefore, your entire prefrontal lobe has to grow in size to accommodate the new demands. In order to give yourself the best possible opportunity of making it through this, you would not have been able to ride out the storm if that hadn't happened. Consequently, it was crucial. You're living with the fallout from all those changes and improvements. Know and accept that your brain, nervous system, and body will need time to adjust. Change can only come when things have had time to heal and develop. It's still not an easy job even now. Second, you've gotten into some bad habits that you can't seem to break them. Your self-criticism increases as a result of being close to a narcissist. Some people will try to convince you that you are by giving you misleading information. This is what drives the narcissist to act in such a harmful way. The destructive patterns of binge eating, smoking, and excessive drinking begins, and you begin to cause injury to yourself. You are spending an excessive amount of time in sexual pursuits. Anything may happen in this setting. These habits dull the pain you're feeling within and keep you chained down. They're not only crucial to your well-being, they also have a significant impact on who you become. If you decide to end the relationship later, it will be difficult to free yourself of them in this way. Some effort and money are going to be required. It would be necessary to employ alternative methods of dealing with the issue at hand. The nervous system keeps things calm so your brain can take it all in. Sacrificing ownership is a terrible feeling. That suggests that you probably are. You need to reset your generosity dial if any of these things happen. If you engage in such risky behaviors on a regular basis or are prone to such addictions, you may run into problems. But for the time being, everything is normal and fine. You don't need to understand why this complicates things, just that it does. That's the way things have to go, but if you stay at it, eventually you'll succeed. Third, you cannot allow the past to stay in the past. You're making things difficult for yourself, and you'll be angry at yourself when you learn the truth about what happened. This is a significant concern for you at the moment. You've been mad at yourself and feel much frustration. You leave feeling bad that you didn't get the chance to see it sooner. You imagine that you are the smartest person in the world. You've been mired in a pattern of bitterness toward oneself. It's easy to feel guilty for what happened when you're the one who gets burned instead of them. The dynamics of a narcissistic relationship are highly nuanced and involve many interrelated aspects. You now know things that you didn't know before. You were less knowledgeable than you are now. Obviously, I struggled with that. The same might be said about you if you ever choose to go there. You become intertwined with your painful events. There are numerous inexplicable aspects of this. Conflicting data from the two beliefs causes cognitive dissonance, which hinders coherent thought. With varieties of narcissistic personality traits, a horrific dark side coexists with an excellent heavenly side. You can't tell whether one is the real deal. That's why you've been helpless up until now. You can't move forward without knowing that. If you truly want to let go of control, you must let go of your anger as well. There is only one item that genuinely demands your focus right now. What you just did was an example of self-compassion. In abundance, it was all around. Fourth, you have suffered a highly complex disease or response to trauma. Narcissistic abuse survivors are more likely to suffer from these diseases. Complex PTSD manifests in both common and unusual ways. You have both common and uncommon symptoms, including cognitive dissonance and trauma bonding, as well as persistent self-doubt, heightened sensitivity to startle, difficulty controlling your emotions, and even suicidal ideation. You've been through many hardships already. Let's take on narcissism, problems, and all as a group, distressing emotional or physical treatment. Alternatively, you may feel a great feeling of loss because you know you can't. You may have complex post-traumatic stress disorder if you experience prolonged distress after a stressful event, such as difficulty concentrating or staying asleep. Because of this, it's understandable that you developed a complicated plan to deal with post-traumatic stress disorder. As things stand, there must be a good reason. When people talk about the complexity of PTSD, they usually refer to the underlying cause, which is usually a traumatic event. First and foremost, you'll need to get enough sleep and relax so your body can heal. It signifies that the issue can't be fixed in any way at this time. The passage of time will proceed in this manner. That's a tricky question. It requires much work on one's own part. You should just give in. You have developed useful strategies for handling your sadness. Recognizing and accepting your feelings is essential to overcome your unhappiness. To reflect on the past is to live in the present moment. You need to figure out what happened to you and accept it before you can move on with your life. 5. Mixed memories. Moreover, this is a challenging endeavor. Symptoms of narcissistic abuse trauma include toxic shame, chronic guilt, and self-criticism. These symptoms, which increase over time, express themselves as flashbacks. You know what I mean if you've ever had a flashback and found yourself getting carried away. You're harshly criticizing and berating yourself over imagined failings and deficiencies, making unfair comparisons to others, anticipating bad results, magnifying issues, and many more. When you give in and relax, it's as if things happen on their own. Admit to yourself that a flashback is occurring and realize that you can't stop them. There is no set schedule for their arrival or departure. It's possible that something in your immediate environment will remind you of that time or that person. A flood of recollections occupies your mind, transporting you back to that time and place. Accordingly, the most defining characteristics of trauma are the symptoms that last for a long time and don't go away easily. The pace of events is slow. Have some patience. I know I keep repeating myself, but please remember that the only things standing between you and a full recovery are time, patience, compassion, and a lot of support. This concludes today's video. I sincerely hope this was helpful to you.
Hello brother, thank you for watching this video. I hope you can benefit from all the videos that I have presented. Don't forget to like and comment and click subscribe right now. And I hope your life will be even better in the future. Okay, bye bye.